So you have a situation, you don't know what to do, you don't know why you're doing really well, and you're not ranking up. It's one of those scenarios where it's depending on who you play against, who you play with, and what your rank is. That's sometimes the issue, but sometimes the issue is how you play, but most of the time it's depending on who you play with. So today I'm going to correct 2 games from this person here to help them out individually and not as a team. That way he can support his team onwards. So let's go to it. We are now analysing Nuke inside Skybox, which is a early access Cisco demo fair, soon to be released, but this is fantastic as it is. There's still improvements, but this allows us to do far much more analysing and fast forwarding. So the first round is the Seaside Run. So we're going to face the first issue of who's going to be the first one to go out this door. The situation where no one wants to go out the first one to die. Which tends to be an issue sometimes. Some people don't want to be the first one to die. But the first issue that we face here, if we go to point of view, look, and see how crowded this gets. We go out here. Notice as the first situation here is this guy here is not getting the support from the guys from way back here. The only guy he has is coming from here, but notice as the trade here is not really much useful. Essentially this is just a one-on-one. He dies. This guy might not be able to trade him. So there is always trade fire from up here. So what should have happened was, if you never went in the door, let me go back. If this situation here never happened, let's say that you went through that door, you have a slightly better chance on hitting this guy here compared to hitting this guy here, obviously. So if you 3 went out, there was a higher chance that one of you would get him compared to 3 of him getting used. So it's always a problem solver where people don't think they should be the first one to die, but sometimes it's worth getting the trade kill. So that's 1-on-1 compared to dying to lots of things. So the trade out here could have been perfected if you are more persistent of getting it out that door. But this is where it can all go wrong. You're in a man advantage. You should not lose this round. You don't really need to look at your gun to fetch it. You can just drop your gun and then pick it up, basically. So that guy from heaven could have just been out there while you're looking down. So try and use your drop instead of looking at it. So here's another problem. Another guy died from here, so if you jump out, notice that this guy here went up and no one was much looking at heaven, to my knowledge. Wind it back. No one was looking heaven. Why is this guy looking main? And this guy's looking here, even though this guy here is looking here as well. So I'm assuming that he's doing here main and he's doing ladder. Because no one was looking, he got a freak out. And here's where the problem happens. He decided that the best thing is to challenge him. So the problem here is that you're exposed to heaven, you're exposed to main, and you're exposed to whatever this is called. You're exposed to 3 areas, which is really bad. What you could have done is, if you played it more safer, at least what you could have done was play it close by here. So that way that you're looking at heaven and you're looking at this, but you're guarded. Because if we go through here, you could be picked from here. You can also be picked from here as well. So you're not actually giving yourself an advantage, you're just giving this guy an easier job on shooting you. There was no need for you to re-peek when he's gone back. And now that you shoot your weapon and you've been spotted, all it takes is this guy here to lurk behind. And you're still not paying attention to the chance of this guy being here. And you died there, so you haven't played your angles correctly and you haven't played the situation correctly. And that costs you the round. You open up the door, nothing happens. Ideally, the Mac 10, if you're playing with Mac 10, you should be jumping out first. Yet again, because you're holding back, you're not putting the Mac 10 to good usage. There's a chance that you could have gotten a guy here, but this guy here has a FAMAS. So using a Mac 10 was not the best option. You could have used a P250 or a Deagle to have a better chance hitting that guy. Or, depending on how much you had, no, you can't. Could, depending on your money, buy a Galil, but buying a Deagle is far better. You're still indoors. The first guy finally comes outdoors, gets one, doesn't check above. Obviously the fight goes towards the rifles. Now what do you do because you have a Mac 10? You can't do long ranges. And because you have a Mac 10, if someone goes against you, you're most likely going to be dead. So that's why you died to this guy here. Which doesn't look like he's aiming at you, but he's actually aiming at you and shooting you from above, which you failed to check also. You're still in hut. You come out, you're a little bit scared, which puts you off. You now expose yourself to main. Don't know if you heard that. But it's only then you died. So that's armor and the Mac 10 gone. Just like that. I need to be careful about your movement here. That could really waste your time. Getting a kill. There's a smoke here. You're gonna disable team smoke. There we go. But then you fall off. Thankfully you took no damage. You still have armor, which I wouldn't personally would buy, because that 650 could have been for the next round when you have actual better weapons. So you spend quite a lot of time here. So the guy in B kills someone in T, so automatically as long as no one's outside, they can definitely call it an A hit because no one's B. Why would you walk out with your knife? Despite you being out here in the open, that could seriously punish you, which makes it into a 2v1, which is not in your favour. So don't run a knife, whatever you do. Now, you should keep that deal open because you're up against P90. Oh, now you got no. Not good. Not good. Just play back, there's no need to push him. No. Got him anyway, so that's at least something. You do have armor, so if your armor as T side is above 50, there's no need to replenish it. But this is the next problem you face, is that you use an AWP like a rifle, and an AWP is not a rifle. Notice here how this really punishes you. He's going to play up close, but see, because you're scoping and you're playing up close angles, you're not going to be hitting that amazing angle unless you get lucky. Because he has an MP5, he's able to take your range faster than you're able to take his range. And it's failure on this guy. Not really. This guy here should be a little bit more up close for a trade kill. And depends how this round plays back. The good play is take the AWP, go back. As you see here. Perfect. Then play safe and garage. Now we're in silo. Drop down. You should have checked there before dropping down. Now you got really low health. And you bought a helmet. Not much necessary. Here's another issue. I don't know what this flash and nade might do. You could afford this back for a better execute. So you used this nade. Why did you use it? Because that nade essentially done nothing. So you wasted $300 at least. Then you decide to use a flash. Did you have intel that there's someone there? So that flash is nearby useless as well. So there's no need for that flash, there's no need for that nade unless you're going for something knowing that they're there. But because you're a server, chances of you needing that utility is not really needed. But if you're in a higher game, then it's a better choice to use it. Now you do go away from a flash, but you don't need to go that far. Because what that could have been is the guy could have came from here from the flash, so the flash could have been a bait. Because this guy could just walk straight out where that flash is going. But because you decided to do a full rotation that was not necessary, he could have been right here right now and you've been looking away. So you need to only do like a quick turn, but don't do a full turn. You don't need to go like that for 2 seconds. It's usually 2.5 seconds or less, 2.35 seconds. Then do that. Make it quick. Don't make it too far. Make it quick. Because you never know if a guy's going to be here. So the issue there was that you oversaturated how far back to compensate that flash. And here's where I went wrong as well. You moved while that, and you weren't standing still. If you were standing still, you'd be able to get this right away. See this field track here, or field line? The green is you. See if you stayed at this angle nearby. There's a chance that if you stood here, crouching, you would have gotten that kill. But because you decided that you had to rotate, which is not rotate, you had to exaggerate your angle, you put yourself into a situation where you never won. Because you decided, oh, I need to have a little bit more further out distance. So you put this guy in an advantage and you put yourself to a disadvantage, which is really bad. So you could have had a 3-on-3 instead of a 2-on-3. Get an AK with armor and helmet. Yet again, helmet is not necessary, it's just the armor, Kevlar. You use your nade, you're standing too still. Ideally you want a jiggle peek. Also you spend too long standing still in the door. Then you execute out. Decent. Now the problem is, do you know who's looking at what? Right away, there's 2 people looking at heaven. That's the first issue. Could have been a guy here, and you're both not looking at him, and then that could be a simple spray, and you both would have been done. Now, it's only one guy looking heaven. Yet again, 2 people are looking heaven. No need. Bomb has been planted. Play it safe. Now, this is the most silver thing I've seen for a retake. It doesn't make sense to go for main. Ideally, you want to have some heaven, some, I guess you call this guard, no hut, you call this hut. So at least 1 or 2 heaven, 1 hut, 4 doors, and 1 main. So when you execute with multiple angles instead of 1 center point. If you look at how this is played out, the first guy pre-fired you because it's a predictable spot, but you managed to get there, get the kill. Here's when the trades come in. This guy should really be way over here instead of being exposed here, or at least grouped up, crouched here, so you can use somewhat of here. But the problem with that is you're just going to expose yourself even more. But since you're in silver, the chances of that is really slim. But it's good that you have lots of trades opportunities from your teammates. Up the ladder, yet again, your movement needs improvement. You don't go from that angle, you go from that other angle, straightforward. Now you decide to go down. Good. Now you're going to play, yet again, an op like a rifle. You need to play more back. Because it's going to punish you nearby here. There's a chance that you would have gotten that kill. But because you have a 1 shot, the guy in the M4 could have just simply killed you if you wanted to. You play back, stay back, don't make the aggression. He's giving you a shot. The reason why he's giving you a shot is he's not sure that you're still there. So you can use that to wind him up. Using a nade is a fantastic idea. Keep him guessing. I notice he uses his rifle because he's not really sure that you're still there. You're in a situation where you're now too far away from the situation. Although the bomb has planted, you can't pretty much predominantly rely on your teammates. That's the ideology that you want to do. You can't rely on your teammates 100% of the time. So round 8 had nothing much, and the only thing here to be very careful about is you're moving with an op of scope 10. Ideally you want to stay in one position, because if you keep moving with an op you could be very inaccurate. So stay still with an op, ideally, if you looked over from this distance. So yet again, timing, if you're more holding an angle, you would have gotten that for a 1v4, but because you decided you spent too much less time spent on that angle, that opportunity is basically gone, because now he has probably seen you. Yeah, he has seen you. So automatically, in theory, he has the advantage because he knows you're there and you know that he's there, but the problem is you can't re-aggress to get him back. So he's probably repositioned to avoid it. And because you failed to kill him based on holding the angle, he's not dead. Now what happens here is kind of mental. Stay with one angle. You've seen him there. Then you get rid of your weapon. What was the point of that? Always keep your weapon out. Nice attempt at a swing. You're not taking cover right away. Bad idea. You're now gripping yourself close by the wall. Be thankful that your teammate put him down to 1 HP. Your other teammate took him down. Good idea. And good execute. And now, you know that he's really low. You're actually using good utility here. Very good utility. Get the guy. So that ran. So that's absolutely perfect. Now, yet again, you're playing too up close with an op. You should play back with an op because you can scope in. That's the purpose of an op, to play back and zoom in. But you're treating it yet again like a rifle. You have to play up close, which is a bad idea. You spotted him there. There's no need to peek right. You can just play with him. Make him angry, but you missed that first shot. There's no need to peek it again. You can peek from a lower angle by crouching. Be thankful you hit that shot. That's an advantage that you won. But here's the problem. You're already at 31. You decide halfway to cancel and drop down. Took away a lot of HP. You could just went back down the ladder, or went up and went down the ladder. There's no need to jump out there. If you're running with your knife, bad idea. If you're running with a op, switch to your pistol. If you know there's a chance of a guy with a rifle, better chance running with a Glock than it is with an op. You now smoked that, you know where he is, he's outside, he has to be coming from outside. So he's either going to be rotating from hut or he's going to be doing from main, which is commonly where he'd be. Why would you peek there if you know he's already main? If that information was not given, then that's a 50-50 chance of a prediction. But what should have happened was his location should have been noted that he was outside, so it's only one way, heaven or main. Or if you don't see him within 20 seconds, he's probably either in hut or doors. That's based on map knowledge. You should be really supporting your teammate, really, because he's there. Where's our teammate? If he dies, he gets traded. You have one shot. All he has to do is basically just keep defusing, assuming that you won't hit your shot. You should have put in a smoke here, and a smoke here, and a smoke here, ideally. Because you can be exposed here. You can't see, but there's one guy here, and there's one guy here. And if I go to overview and put on the field, notice as you're going to be outranged, basically, pretty much. Because if you waited it out with this guy, or this guy here, assuming that's your teammate, what you could have done there was, instead of dying, you could have set it up a crossfire, because it's 4 people, 4 against 1. Who's going to win? Probably your team. You died from a op peak that could have been traded from, or you could have waited longer for a better trade. Don't know what the communication was, but why was there 2 smokes? The problem you now face is now that you opened up this gap. That smoke that was thrown for initially here could have been from here. Because then the chance of this guy shooting you would be very slim. You can still see from the edge here. But that doesn't stop someone from garage. Just look what happens with garage. Wide open. Yet again, there's no need to spray. You could just tap it. You could have dropped him an AK, let's be honest. You could have dropped him an AK to guarantee that round. Here's the problem. You decide to be too aggressive and thought it'd be a good idea to push out blindly. You failed to pre-peek this angle. You're still moving. And you're still moving while you're shooting. That's why you never got that guy, and that's armor gone as well. I like this. You decide to go for a vent push. That's very good map control. Already you have B control. You shouldn't lose this at all. But there's no bomb. This is just a weird retake. The bomb finally been planted. But you do get careless. And there should be only one guy after, and there's plenty of time till the bomb's gone, so there's no need for you to rotate to ramp. Be thankful that this guy never decides to have a smoke, because if you had a smoke, or if you did use the smoke, you could just smoked it and just lose the round for you, basically, one of your teammates. That is a good reflex right there, but you were kind of careless to peek it, because look, you're looking here, he was here. You should have pre-aimed nearby the ledge. Boom. Now there's no need to progress again, because you're already in a man advantage. You want to keep that man advantage during the bomb's plantation stage. Here's a problem in itself. You've seen a guy there. You know this guy there as well. You should have went out and played the advantage. You tried to be aggressive and pick the M4 again, but your recoil and your aim failed you that round, so you need to practice your AK recoil and you need to know your pre-aim spots. And it's first round city side. City side can be annoying and fun sometimes, so you need to be really careful on that. So the problem with you going outside is that you're now too far away from your teammates because they decided to go for a hit. Ideally with an A hit, the closest outside you should be is within main. You shouldn't really go out here unless you know that they're really outside. So the closest outside, ideally for CT, should be no farther than hut. Because if you go out here, you notice that by the time you get close by the site, you're already at a disadvantage. There's already 4 against 2. And if you went and hut, right, you could have been right here, right now, helping the trade for this guy here. Or help the trade for this guy here. But because you decided you want to do a lurk move, you essentially cost a round against you because you decided that you're going to do an outside take. And here's an issue, because your teammates decided to push up, essentially the round's over as it is. You should have held the guy up here in main, but because you didn't see him, you're going to get overrun by him. So you should have been more careful of how you play that situation. Playing inside would have increased your chances slightly higher. So round 18, you decide to be a B ramp anchor now, so that's really confusing. If you're going to stay outside, be predominant outside, because if you keep changing your positions, you're going to have different engagements which you're not used to. So you will lose rounds because of not being familiar of a certain position. You've been too exposed too much in that angle. You should have been dead, frankly, but be thankful you're alive. Take that advantage of you being alive and go to B site or play it safe. Why peek back out to the angle that you could have died in? Get back and support your teammates. The need to shoot that was no need, because you're actually giving them the incentive to go A now. Even though that shot should have given away to go for B. They already know where you are because you shot B main, you could have lurked. Since your killer's going up the ladders and not crouching and not playing back, you're playing forwards and you're going to die to the guy below heaven because you weren't cautious about the angles of what heaven offers. Round 19, your first win out of 3 rounds. You're going to have a good buy because you have 3 round wins, but if you lose again, you're going to be right back down to an eco or first buy. So you should take this run into consideration and should win it to your highest advantage. You decide to go outside but then go into hut, good move. Always group, don't go solo. You now decide to go outside, but you carelessly went out. And if you die, because you put yourself into a situation where you're going to die from all angles here. You should have stayed close by hut. There was no need to expose yourself by just walking way out here. There's no need for that move. But apart from that, that's what you need to improve on. Yet again, you're an outside player. Just keep to outside. Get familiar. That flash does nothing. Your style of outside play is to ensure that they're not going to go B to call an A hit at least. But the problem that you faced is they don't look silo. This guy here, by chance, looks away. But you're going to be losing to him the whole time. In the next rounds, I'll show you. Yet again, round 21. Here's silo. You're going to die to a guy in silo again. So you're playing outside again, doing that flash. There's no need to do that jump throw. That jump throw might actually prevent the flash or non-existent flash. That's good utility right there. You should have done a run throw for that and not a jump throw to guarantee that you're going to flash it for longer. This is good timing. You abused his slow gun gain time to punish him for using the smoke without being actual careful. Also remember, there's no need to buy armor if you're below 57 in CT. So only get Kevlar again once you're 57 and below. There'll be one guy silo. Don't know if you've seen him. Because yet again, you're going to lose your gun battle, this guy in silo. You're forgetting to check that up here exists. And look, he's already clocked how you play. You already been counter-stratted right away. So be careful about your silo peaks. That's probably your main issue from Nuke itself. Or not, but there shouldn't be 2 ops within the same area. Ideally keep one outside and one heaven. But not 2 engaged. That's just very, very bad map control. So if you were scoped in and done that little jiggle peek, you would have got him. But because you've done a step left, you died by overextending yourself to the guy. So if you look at the other guy's footage, you actually are more exposed than what you look exposed to. You're more of a target than he is more than a target of you. Also, you should be aiming more to the edge so you can flick closer to him. So that round is just basically you need to have more patience and more consideration into your peeking. Yet again, you're going to be outside play behind red box. You got 1 kill, play it back. 2 kills, lucky, play it safe. No need to hold that wide open angle. Play for time. You peeked a trade. That's essentially your fault for putting yourself into that position. There was no need to go in there because you had teammates that you could have helped with. Plus, you could have waited for them, or this guy, you could have waited for them to push out, because see if you waited out, you could have gotten this guy safely from here, and then you could have gotten this guy being really conscious of here. You could have gotten a 4K, or even an ace at this point. But because you're very impatient and not holding your angles correctly, you died simply. So you're going to do the same thing, and now you're considering silo. But now you're considering silo far too much. Could have been a guy here this time. So if you die from the same angle, don't change how you play that angle. Be conscious, but don't change. You shouldn't change it based on one angle because that person can play outside, then you can just simply lose it. Man advantage, this should be an easy win. And that's Nick. You have to be really careful about how you do your engagements, basically, and be more map aware of the right lurk to do. Outside lurks tend to give you grief, and definitely solo is one of your weaknesses. So be more cautious of how to play outside. Play it more safe with your friends. Don't do solo plays. Stay grouped for Nuke.